going to talk about Unit 1, Exploring Business, to try and help you guys out so you know what you're doing, because the assignment obviously is due on Monday the 12th. And while I'm on that subject, when you submit your assignment, please go to the page on Moodle that is your class page, and then you'll see that you've got two documents that you've got to print out. Your assignment brief, and it needs your name on it, and the summative sheet, it needs your name on it and you need to sign it. Put the summative sheet at the front, the assignment sheet next, and then your work, and attach it together, or I can, and hand it in on Monday, please. You can get on with your work now, Callum, if you like.
That's in the video.
Thank you. Right. So, just looking at the unit submission sheet, the unit specification, sorry. And this, if you've not got it, is in the business resources page of Moodle, and it's right near the top. It's got all the unit information, and you can print it off or look at it. So on page 23 of that business resources specification, you've got all these dark bullet points. Your assignment needs to make sure that you're covering every single one of those bullet points, and the way I want it laid out is that you use the headings and that you make bold or use headings where we've got the bullet points, so it's very clear that you're covering every point. When you're looking at this and you'll see that there are lighter coloured bullet points, it means that you've got to include things from that. So for example, if you're covering Aura events, you'll be looking at, first of all, the ownership and liability. Don't forget, ownership is the private limited company, but the liability is there whether it's unlimited liability or whether it's limited liability. So you need to be saying about that as well. Don't forget you've got two bits there. So go through and each bullet point for the past for both businesses. And show that you've understood what each bit means by giving those examples. When you watch the videos on the business resources page, I think that we didn't really go through A3, which is effective business communication. So what we're after here is knowing the sorts of communication that these two businesses, how they contact their stakeholders, right? So it might be that, well, you know how we contact you at Lighthouse Learning, so we give you text messages and emails, we send letters, we have interviews with you before you start your course. We've got, we have one-to-one meetings with you to update you on your targets, those sort of communications. But they've also got communications with the teaching staff. We have big presentation meetings. Teachers give presentations to you. So you've got to go through and you have to state the sort of business communication. So written presentations. Obviously, as a company, we have to supply our written accounts, and they have to be put on Companies House, and so do our events for that. Different functional areas like human resources, finance, IT, marketing, they may need to put together some formal reports to give to the trustees to inform them about the current situation. For example, with human resources, how many staff we've got, how many staff we're turning over, like how are we losing many staff, what are the costs of staff at the moment. Then there's obviously accounts and finance. They'll be giving formal reports on how our finances are looking, whether they're looking good or not. So those sort of formal written presentations, and it may be again that they're doing them verbally, so oral presentations as well, but I give you oral presentations when I'm introducing you to a new topic, so your teachers do. The principal also gives whole college staff presentations. If you were here at induction week, you had the different members of the team, the student union, giving you a presentation on whether on the stage in the hall. So, and then you've just got to mention the importance of communication to help you with your business success. If you're looking any of this past stuff that you're not sure about, from page 4 to page 32 is all the information that you need to help you with what to write. Okay, so you can get that on Moodle or get it out in the library. Some people have got it out in the book out in the library. So make sure you're covering every single one of these bullet points, otherwise you won't pass. So we've been talking about merit and distinction. Can I just draw your eyes to, on page 28, there's actually a few paragraphs here. Obviously, because we're covering learning aims A and B for this assignment, but if you look, it tells you what to do for distinction, what you've got to achieve for merit, and what you've got to achieve for pass. For the merit, it says learners will present a careful consideration of each of the businesses, their relationship and communication with their stakeholders. And you're going to come to some conclusions about how well each business communication impacts on its relationship with stakeholders. You're going to give a breakdown of like the organisational structure, what each does and how the areas interrelate, so how they link up, what the similarities or differences are, or work together to contribute to each business's aims and objectives. It says the report will be logically structured, so you're using headings throughout, appropriate business terminology, and will contain good quality written language. You've got to really put some effort into these merits and distinctions. For the merit, I also put some advice for merit 1. I give the advantages and disadvantages of different types of communication. What are the similarities and the differences between the tone and the language of the communication that, so for a message, an email we might send you, you know, we're building a relationship with you, we're going to be communicating quite a lot with you, and the language that we use will be supportive, maybe setting targets, whereas an email that Aura Events might send would be more promotional, trying to get people to enter the race, donate to the charity and all that sort of stuff. So you think about tones and language. Then we've got Merit 2, which is analyse the structure. So you need to be looking at those structures again. Hierarchical one, where it's got loads of layers of management, and think about the Aura Events, more of a flat structure or a holacratic, whichever you explained it, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of those structures in helping the company meet its objectives. So if you think about the Lighthouse Learning Trust, some sort of organisational structure like the hierarchical, there's loads of different layers of management. So if I want to make a change, I've got to tell my manager, who then will speak to the faculty manager, who then might speak to the vice principal. Then we've got the principal, then we've got the chief executive officer of the Lighthouse Learning Trust, then we've got trustees. You know, there's a lot of layers. But on the other side of that, the positives is that we have such a lot of expertise. As I mentioned before, the functional areas like IT, student services, finance and accounts, human resources, marketing. We've got a management information system group. So all of those expertise can be pulled on. Whereas for Aura Events, you might have said that there's sort of like a flat structure or a holacratic. Even though decisions can be made really quickly, they've had to learn a lot of the stuff. They're not experts in every field, but they've had to become that. So you can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of different structures, relate this to how it helps them reach their aims and objectives. Right. So for the distinction, it says learners will produce relevant evidence of how differing features and the complex, so different features of a business. So look back at your past when you've covered that, features of the business. And the complex relationship and communications with its internal and external stakeholders make business successful to support the evaluation given. The report with professional, logically structured, etc., etc. high quality written language. You've got to make a real effort here to try and include that. I've also said about the distinction, you could make sure you're focusing on the reasons for success. So you might want to revisit the aims and objectives, looking at both sides, obviously both companies, positive and negative, strengths and weaknesses, that sort of thing. But make sure you're really focusing on that. Okay, thank you.
You can ask me.